Hello everybody and welcome back to Quarantine Kids Storytime. My name's Sascha Cooper and today I'm going to be continuing The Jungle Book by Rudyard Kipling. Today we're going to see how Mowgli progresses in the fields in the man village. Let's see what happens, shall we? The custom of most Indian villages is for a few boys to take the cattle and buffaloes out to graze in the early morning and bring them back at night. The very cattle that would trample a man to death allow themselves to be banged and bullied and shouted at by children that hardly come up to their noses. So long as the boys keep with the herds, they are safe, for not even the tiger will charge a mob of cattle. But if they straggle to pick flowers or hunt lizards, they are sometimes carried off. Mowgli went through the village street in the dawn, sitting on the back of Rama, the great herd bull. The slaty blue buffaloes, with their long, backward sweeping horns and savage eyes, rose out their byres one by one and followed him, and Mowgli made it very clear to the children with him that he was the master. He beat the buffaloes with a long, polished bamboo, and told Kamya, one of the boys, to graze the cattle by themselves, while he went on with the buffaloes, and to be very careful not to stray away from the herd. An Indian grazing ground is all rocks and scrub and tussocks and little ravines, among which the herds scatter and disappear. The buffaloes generally keep to the pools and muddy places, where they lie wallowing or basking in the warm mud for hours. Mowgli drove them on to the edge of the plain, where the Waingunga came out of the jungle. Then he dropped from Rama's neck, trotted off to a bamboo clump, and found Grey Brother. "Ah," said Grey Brother, "I have waited here very many days. What is the meaning of this cattle herding work?" "It is an order," said Mowgli. "I am a village herd for a while. What news of Shere Khan?" "He has come back to this country and has waited here a long time for thee. Now he has gone off again, for the game is scarce. But he means to kill thee." "Very good," said Mowgli. "So long as he is away, do thou or one of the brothers sit on that rock so I can see thee as I come out of the village. When he comes back, wait for me in the ravine by the dark tree in the centre of the plain. We need not walk into Shere Khan's mouth." Then Mowgli picked out a shady place and lay down and slept while the buffaloes grazed round him. Herding in India is one of the laziest things in the world. The cattle move and crunch and lie down and move on again, and they do not even low. They only grunt, and the buffaloes very seldom say anything, but get down into the muddy pools one after the other, and work their way into the mud till only their noses and staring china blue eyes show above the surface, and then they lie like logs. The sun makes the rocks dance in the heat, and the herd children hear one kite, never any more, whistling almost out of sight overhead. And if they know that if they died, or a cow died, that kite would sweep down, and the next kite miles away would see him drop and follow, and the next, and the next, and almost before they were dead, there would be a score of hungry kites come out of nowhere. Then they sleep and wake and sleep again, and weave little baskets of dried grass and put grasshoppers in them, or catch 2 praying mantises and make them fight, or string a necklace of red and black jungle nuts, or even watch a lizard basking on a rock, or a snake hunting a frog near the wallows. Then they sing long, long songs with odd native quavers at the end of them, and the day seems longer than most people's whole lives. And perhaps they make a mud castle with mud figures of men and horses and buffaloes, and put reeds into the men's hands and pretend that they are kings, and the figures are their armies, or that they are gods to be worshipped. Then evening comes, and the children call, and the buffaloes lumber out of the sticky mud with noises like gunshots going off one after the other, and they all string across the grey plain back to the twinkling village lights. Day after day, Mowgli would lead the buffaloes out to their wallows, and day after day he would see Grey Brother's back 1.5 miles away across the plain, so he knew that Shere Khan had not come back. And day after day he would lie on the grass, listening to the noises round him, and dreaming of old days in the jungle. If Shere Khan had made a false step with his lame paw up in the jungles by the Waingunga, Mowgli would have heard him in those long, still mornings. At last, a day came when he did not see Grey Brother at the signal place, and he laughed and headed the buffaloes for the ravine by the DHK tree, which was all covered with golden red flowers. There sat Grey Brother, every bristle on his back lifted. He is hidden for a month to throw thee off thy guard. He crossed the ranges last night with Tabaki, hot foot on thy trail, said the wolf, panting. Mowgli frowned. I am not afraid of Shere Khan, but Tabaki is very cunning. Have no fear, said Grey Brother, licking his lips a little. I met Tabaki in the dawn. Now he is telling all his wisdom to the kites, but he told me everything before I broke his back. Shere Khan's plan is to wait for thee by the village gate this evening, for thee and no one else. He is lying up now in the big dry ravine of the Waingunga. Has he eaten today, or does he hunt empty? Said Mowgli, for the answer meant life and death to him. He killed at dawn a pig, and he has drunk too. Remember, Shere Khan could never fast, even for the sake of revenge. Oh, fool, fool! What a cub's cub it is! Eaten and drunk too, and he thinks that I shall wait till he has slept. Now where does he lie up? If there were but 10 of us, we might pull him down as he lies. These buffaloes will not charge unless they wind him, and I cannot speak their language. Can we get behind his track so that they may smell it? He swam far down the Waingunga to cut that off, said Grey Brother. Tabaki told him that, I do know. He would never have thought of it alone. Mowgli stood with his finger in his mouth, thinking. The big ravine of the Waingunga, that opens out on the plain not 1/2 mile from here. I can take the herd round through the jungle to the head of the ravine and then sweep down, but he would slink out at the foot. We must block that end. Grey Brother, canst thou cut the herd in 2 for me? Ooh, not I, perhaps, but I have brought a wise helper. Grey Brother trotted off and dropped into a hole. Then there lifted up a huge grey head that Mowgli knew well, and the hot air was filled with the most desolate cry of the jungle, the hunting howl of a wolf at midday. Akela! Akela! Said Mowgli, clapping his hands. I might have known that thou wouldst not forget me. We have a big work in hand. Cut the herd in 2, Akela. Keep the cows and the calves together, and the bulls and the plough buffaloes by themselves. The 2 wolves ran, ladies' chain fashion, in and out of the herd, which snorted and threw up its head and separated into two clumps. In one, the cow buffaloes stood with their calves in the centre and glared and pawed, ready, if a wolf would only stay still, to charge down and trample the life out of him. In the other, the bulls and the young bulls snorted and stamped, but though they looked more imposing, they were much less dangerous, for they had no calves to protect. No 6 men could have divided the herd so neatly. "What orders?" panted Akela. "They are trying to join again." Mowgli slipped onto Rama's back. "Drive the bulls away to the left, Akela. Grey Brother, when we are gone, hold the cows together and drive them into the foot of the ravine." "How far?" said Grey Brother, panting and snapping. "Till the sides are higher than Shere Khan can jump," shouted Mowgli. "Keep them there until we come down." The bulls swept off as Akela bade, and Grey Brother stopped in front of the cows. They charged down on him, and he ran just before them to the foot of the ravine as Akela drove the bulls far to the left. "Well done! Another charge, and they are fairly started. Careful now! Careful, Akela! A snap too much, and the bulls will charge. Whew! This is wilder work than driving black buck. Didst thou think that these creatures could move so swiftly?" Mowgli called. "I have hunted these two in my time," gasped Akela in the dust. "Shall I turn them into the jungle?" "Aye, turn! Swiftly turn them! Rama is mad with rage. Oh, if only I could tell him what I need of him of today." The bulls were turned to the right this time and crashed into the standing thicket. The other herd children, watching with the cattle half a mile away, hurried to the village as fast as their legs could carry them, crying that the buffaloes had gone mad and run away. But Mowgli's plan was simple enough. All he wanted to do was to make a big circle uphill and get at the head of the ravine, and then take the bulls down it and catch Shere Khan between the bulls and the cows, for he knew that after a meal and a full drink, Shere Khan would not be in any condition to fight or to clamber up the sides of the ravine. He was soothing the buffaloes now by voice, and Akela had dropped far to the rear, only whimpering once or twice to hurry the rear guard. It was a long, long circle, for they did not wish to get too near the ravine and give Shere Khan warning. At last, Mowgli rounded up the bewildered herd at the head of the ravine on a grassy patch that sloped steeply down to the ravine itself. From that height, you could see across the tops of the trees down to the plain below, but what Mowgli looked at was the sides of the ravine, and he saw with a great deal of satisfaction that they ran nearly straight up and down, while the vines and creepers that hung over them would give no foothold to a tiger who wanted to get out. "Let them breathe, Akela," he said, holding up his hand. "They have not winded him yet. Let them breathe. I must tell Shere Khan who comes. We have him in the trap." He put his hands to his mouth and shouted down the ravine. It was almost like shouting down a tunnel, and the echoes jumped from rock to rock. After a long time, there came back the drawling, sleepy snarl of a full-fed tiger just wakened. "Who calls?" said Shere Khan, and a splendid peacock fluttered out of the ravine, screeching. "I, Mowgli, cattle thief. It is time to come to the council rock. Down! Hurry them down, Akela! Down, Rama! Down!" The herd paused for an instant at the top of the slope, but Akela gave tongue in the full hunting yell, and they pitched over one after the other, just as steamers shoot rapids, the sand and stones spurting up around them. Once started, there was no chance of stopping, and before they were fairly in the bed of the ravine, Rama winded Shere Khan and bellowed. And we are going to leave it there. Thank you so much for tuning in. Now, will Shere Khan get his revenge on Mowgli, or will Mowgli defeat him? Tune in tomorrow to find out as the battle continues. My name's been Sascha Cooper, and this has been The Jungle Book by Rudyard Kipling. Take care, everybody, and stay safe. Bye-bye.